Hello guys, welcome to Ikra Technology. Today we will see Varargs in Java. In Java, the Varargs feature allows method to accept a variable number of arguments. The Varargs keyword is used to specify that a method's parameter can accept zero or more arguments of a specific type. Do you understand how it works? This is useful when the exact number of argument is not known in advance. Okay? Means basically when we don't know how many arguments of that variable will come, so we define varargs so that it can be easier to use multiple number of arguments in a method. Okay, so here you can see we have a example to understand it. Suppose you have been told to buy fruits of 100 rupees. Okay, then you will have to find out which fruit you can buy based on your budget. Okay, in this scenario, we do not know which fruit you will be buying, hence you don't know how many fruits you will need in advance. Okay, so you can use Varargs to handle any number of items. Okay, this array is a defined list of values. For example, if you have been told to buy apples, oranges, bananas from a supermarket, then we can define an array called fruit. Okay, did you understand how we do? Like when you have a list of defined items, we use array. Okay, and but when we don't know how many types, how many number of arguments will come, okay, then we use varargs. This array always has a defined value. Okay, so did you understand how we use varargs? So here you can see, here we have a basic structure of a varargs, where first we define our method, or you can say any function, and inside that we use the data type of that argument, and then we use ellipses, means these three dots, and then we give the name of that parameter. Okay, and then whatever we want to execute in the method. Okay, so let us see, first we have a scenario where we are adding numbers with a variable arguments. Okay, means in this scenario we want to add variable number of integer values. We use whereas to handle unknown number of arguments. Okay, so we have defined a variable here, so we have defined a method here. Okay, we can define it above also, it doesn't matter, the main method will be used for execution. Okay, so we have defined a method here where we have a public static int sum. Okay, I mean this is our name of the method, which name is sum. We use public for easier access, and then we use static so that we don't have to create the instance of that in the main method. Okay, so here you can see we have defined our varargs, where we have used data type as int, and then we use ellipses, means there are three dots, and then we use the name of the argument. Okay, which is numbers, and inside that we have defined an int sum variable for initialization, and after that we use for each loop to access every elements of that argument, and then get the sum of all the numbers. Okay, and then return the sum. We are not printing it in the console, we are getting it in the sum. Okay, and in the main method we have defined three variable, and inside all that we are using our method to get the sum of all the numbers given here, and then we are using our printing statement so that we can get the output in our console. So we have defined three variables, which are sum1, sum2 and sum3, and then we are printing it in the console. Okay, we have also used this string to define all the variable names so that it will be easy to understand which value is up from where. Okay, and we will see this in our Eclipse IDE. So here also we have the line by line explanation of the code. You can see here also for better understanding. And in the second scenario, we are adding numbers with a fixed array of arguments. Okay, did you understand how it works? Means there we are using varargs because we don't have the exact number of arguments we will get. Okay, but when we know the exact number of arguments, we use array where we have defined number of arguments. Okay, so here also you will see we have created a method where we are passing the our array as a parameter. Okay, int array numbers. Okay, and then we are using the same method to run through every elements of that array and then execute it, and it means return the sum of the value. Okay, and similarly we have a int array numbers where we have 20, 30, 75, 45, 50 and 10. Okay, and then we are creating a variable int sum where we are using the function and the array parameter which we want. Okay, means here we have numbers as a name, so we will use the numbers name in the parameter, and then we are printing that variable in a console. Okay, so here our output will be 230 as we are getting the sum of all these numbers. Okay, so let us see both the examples in our Eclipse IDE. So here, as you can see, we have used the method above, as we know. Then we have public static int. Okay, we are using return, so we have to use the data type here. Okay, and we have used static so that we don't have to create the instance here. Okay, and then we are using our int and then ellipses and then numbers. And here we are using variables because we don't know the number of arguments. Okay, and then we have created the method for getting the sum of all the numbers. Okay, so here you can see in our main method we have created three variables, and inside that we are using our function, you can say, or a method. And you can see inside that we have 20, 30, 75. Okay, we don't have any defined. Here we are using three arguments. Here we are using two arguments. Here we are using one argument. Similarly, you can use four or five or six arguments. Okay, means when you don't have defined number of arguments, okay, we use Varargs, and when you have defined number of arguments, we use our array. Okay, so here you can see we have used three arguments, two and one arguments in all the three variables, and then we are printing it in the console. Okay, and if I will run this, we will see the output of all the three variables where we have 20, 30, 50, and 75 will be 125. Similarly, we have 95 here and 10 here. Okay, and we have printed all these three in the console. Okay, and let us see our next scenario where we have the defined number of list. Okay, where we have defined number of arguments. Okay, so if I will uncomment this, you can see we have created a method, and here we have created below. Okay, so that you can understand it doesn't matter we create up or we create below, but the main method is the which get executed. Okay, so here you can see we have created again a method where we are using a int array numbers. Okay, yeah, this is a local array name which can be any array which is of integer data type. Okay, and then we are using a for each loop to iterate through every elements of this array. Okay, so and in the main method you can see we have created a int array numbers where we are passed 1 2 3 4 5 6 arguments, and then we are creating a variable to getting sum of all the numbers in the array. Okay, and then we are printing it in the console, as we know. Then if I will run this, you will also see the output as 230. Okay, because this is getting the sum of all the numbers here. Okay, do you understand how the Varargs is used? And when we have a defined value, we use array as a parameter. You understand? And here below we have some tasks which you have to practice so that you can understand better. Okay, so today we saw Varargs in Java. Thank you.